What would you do if you woke up one day to find yourself saddled with an astronomical parking bill for a car you didn't even know you owned? Sounds like something out of a bizarre comedy, right? But for Jennifer Fitzgerald, this nightmare was her reality. Her story is a cautionary tale of how love turned sour can spiral into an almost unbelievable act of revenge, and how the consequences of that act can last for years. So buckle up, because this wild ride has twists, turns, and lessons we can all take away. It all began in November 2009 when Jennifer Fitzgerald's ex-boyfriend, Brandon Prevost, bought a car. On the surface, this might seem like a sweet gesture, maybe a way to win her back after their breakup. But this was no romantic overture. Brandon didn't buy the car in her name out of love. It was an act of cold-blooded revenge. He purchased the car for just $600, a modest amount, but instead of driving it, he abandoned it in one of the least accessible places imaginable, a parking lot at O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. Now you might wonder, why abandon it there? Parking lots at airports are notorious for charging steep fees, and leaving a car there for even a day can lead to a hefty bill. Over time, that bill can snowball into a figure that's downright terrifying. Brandon must have known this, because for nearly 3 years, the car sat there untouched, accumulating parking fees and ticket fines. Jennifer, meanwhile, had no idea what was happening. By the time the situation came to light, the car had racked up an eye-watering $105,000 in fines. That's right, $105,000 for a vehicle that cost just $600 to purchase. To put that into perspective, that's more than the average cost of a luxury car. For Jennifer, who wasn't even aware the car was in her name, the discovery was devastating. Let's pause for a moment and think about this. How does a situation like this even happen? How can someone be held accountable for a vehicle they didn't buy, don't drive, and didn't even know existed? Unfortunately, the law can be unforgiving when it comes to ownership. Legally, Jennifer was considered the owner of the car because it was registered in her name, and that made her responsible for the fines. When Jennifer finally learned about the situation, she was understandably shocked and overwhelmed. She faced the possibility of financial ruin over something she had no control over. Imagine the sheer frustration of being punished for someone else's actions, especially when those actions were fueled by spite. Jennifer took her case to court, hoping to prove that she wasn't the rightful owner of the car and therefore shouldn't be liable for the fines. The legal battle was long and grueling, but Jennifer eventually caught a break. After much back and forth, the city of Chicago agreed to drop $100,000 worth of fines. That left her with a reduced bill of $4,470, a figure still significant for most people, but a far cry from the six-figure debt she had initially faced. But what about Brandon Prevost, the man who orchestrated this elaborate revenge? He didn't walk away scot-free. He was ordered to pay the initial down payment on the fines, amounting to $1,600. Meanwhile, Jennifer was left to pay the remaining balance in monthly installments of $78, a small but constant reminder of the chaos that had been thrust upon her life. Jennifer's story isn't just about revenge. It's also a glaring example of how small acts of spite can have disproportionately large consequences. It's a cautionary tale about the importance of understanding what your name is tied to, whether it's a vehicle, a loan, or any other legal responsibility. And perhaps most importantly, it's a reminder that we should never let anger or bitterness drive our actions, because the cost can be higher than we ever imagined. So, what do you think about Jennifer's ordeal? Could this have been prevented? Or is this just one of those bizarre situations where everything that could go wrong did go wrong? Whatever your take, Jennifer's story teaches us one thing. Always keep an eye on your name, because you never know where it might show up or how much it might cost you. With that said, thanks for watching. And until next time.